about what you were just referring to. I literally think that one of the main goals is to get people to not. I just think people are going to turn into literal nothing. Okay, you're not going to be interested in anything. You're not going to believe in anything. You're not going to desire anything.
So
and
that's the goal, yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of people like that already. Like they don't even really like sports. They think they like sports, but really, it becomes, and this is where the cult mentality kind of merges with addictive behavior. There's kind of a thin line between those two, because you have addictive behavior, but it could also kind of be on the border of cultish behavior. You see how those two lines can be blurred.
Oh yeah,
Right. So let's just say you're addicted to looking at your cell phone, right?
Yeah.
But you're not really doing anything on it. You know, it's like if I look at my cell phone, I'm looking up some articles, I'm reading something, or I'm looking at something my wife sent me on an email or something like that. But most people, you look at what they're doing on their cell phone, and they're kind of like, got this, their mouth open, they're staring down into it, and then you look at what they're looking at, and they're kind of like looking at texts or looking at Facebook. And those aren't even anything to like. That's not a hobby. That's not an interest. But that's literally what people are doing all day. You see, so
it's kind of a compulsive behavior. It's not really
exactly. So, yeah. but it's borderline being the cell phone cult, the television cult, and the television cult doesn't necessarily have to be. Oh, I love watching sports because I enjoy sports. No, I just enjoy watching television.
Yeah, well, it has an effect in the way that drugs have an effect. So it is literally a drug of sorts. Like it changes your brainwave patterns and puts you in different states of consciousness and all that. And so I wonder about cell phones too, if they have similar effects, because they certainly do seem like they're habit forming. It does appear that they have the same kind of allure that television has, or it's kind of this like you're saying, like it's this TV watching for the sake of TV watching, or just looking at the smartphone just because it's there, and there's no really goal involved in it.
That's what people do on the lunch breaks at my work. They're just kind of like staring into the abyss of the cell phone. This it's almost like Merlin with the swirling. With the swirling magic in his hand, you know what I mean? And you're staring into, you're staring into the crystal ball of Lord of the Rings or something. Yeah. That's what people are doing. That's what people are doing, and they're hypnotized by the technology. And you've made a great point in the past. I think it was on the call with Aaron Friend that This is all mimicking. All of the synthetic stuff is there to mimic nature and mimic reality and learn how to mimic us, right?
Uh-huh.
And so when you've got your cell phone and your TV and all that type of stuff, it's now the substitute because it does a good job of mimicking, but you see, we had to have the culture. We had to have the culture of nothing, which that's what a lot of the abstract theory and all of that brainy type of stuff had to get implemented to get us to this point as a culture and a society where we get to this point to where we're happy with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
See? and then all of the substitutes are all provided for us because we don't have any friends, we don't have any family, we don't have any of that type of stuff. But you've got all the things that basically just electrify your pleasure centers, and that's all pretty much it's going to come down to is I don't have to believe anything, I don't have to like anything, I just have to like to get my pleasure center stimulated.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to the whole Skinnerian, Pavlovian conditioning process, where just that sort of thing always reminds me of those animals in cages, like a pigeon with the two buttons, and he's got the button that fires out the little nugget or something that he's going to eat, and that's all the pigeon's interested in, is pushing buttons. And it's interesting how that's what people do now. They just sit around and push buttons, and it's like, well, I mean, I never thought the outworking of those experiments would be so literal, but that's what it is. You ended up people being conditioned to the point where they just sit around and peck at buttons all the time. And just like the pigeon in the cage.
That's a good way of putting it. I agree with that. Actually, you made a revelation, because I don't actually think I've ever heard anybody make that correlation before.
That came to me one day when I was at Home Depot, and I gave the lady a $20 bill, and it was the product was $19 and something, and then the change comes out this chute, and then I got the change out of the chute, and I'm like, I mean, this is like, I just felt like I just had a flashback to that the pigeon in the cage, or the rat, and then he hits the lever and he does what he's supposed to do, and you're being a good consumer, and you got and you get your reward, or like your change, or whatever's coming out. Stuff is now coming out of chutes and stuff, and you get it, and then everything's becoming like depersonalized, and I don't know. It just, I mean, that might be stretching the analogy a bit, but that's when it kind of dawned on me.
Because at Home Depot now they don't even have you ringing up. They don't have people ringing up you at the register either. They got the automated registers now where you ring up your own stuff.
Yeah, that's where I was at. But of course, like when I first started using those, and they never worked. And then you'd have the person come over and take your money, and but you have to go through the whole process of trying to check yourself out, and the damn thing doesn't work, and then it's saying put the item in the bag, and it's like, okay, the item is in the friggin' bag, and and it's just incrementally training you to accept the cashless. I mean, not the but the self checkout. Now you go into stores. Last time I went into Walmart, they had greatly expanded the self checkout so that it's now taking up a much larger section of the checkout is part of the store, to where now there's there used to be only 5 or 6, now there's 15 self-checkout counters. Maybe not that many, but there's a lot more than there was. So you can see they're incrementally phasing that in and training you to accept it, just like your little white rat in a cage, and then they're gonna of course eventually phase out checkers altogether, and then you'll have and then that will, I'm sure that it's going to correspond with the cashless transactions where that starts to predominate, so that you just go into the store, and then you check yourself out, and then it's all done through your smartphone, because everybody has one of those now.
No, yeah, they have a grocery store out here. I'm sure you'll encounter at some point. It's called Fresh and Easy.
Yeah.
And the entire those stores, which I never go to them. I've been into one once, and I walked out because there were no cashiers. So they've already got a grocery store. They've already got a grocery store where they're like every checkout stand is an automated one, and then they've got like someone up in a booth, like watching everything.
Yeah. Yeah, they already have it. From what I understand, in Europe.